Okay, you have lots of color information now at your disposal and gone through the presentations and so on. It's time to do another color exercise. The idea behind this exercise is to create two color schemes. Thinking about trying to come up with ideas that you are going to use on your resume website. So this is not just in general color schemes, let's just throw some together. This is coming up with color schemes that hopefully will be useful to you. Now, you don't have to use these exactly, one of these exactly in your resume, but you should be working towards that. This should be gaining color skills that you will use, because very soon you have to apply all these colors of some kind of color scheme to your resume. So here is the exercise, which you can see on Moodle, of course, and it tells you to go to Color Scheme Designer, remember that, and here it is, or one of those other sites. Just to remind you, you could go to this article, which was in the presentation, and go through lots of different color pickers. You can use Cooler. Many people use Cooler. I don't use it, but I think it's a very useful site. Or use Color Scheme Designer, which is the same thing as Paladin, which is what I'm going to use here. I've already been playing with this one. Remember, you're going to pick different schemes. I suggest you're going to actually you have to come up with two. I suggest maybe a monochromatic, which is his first choice. Let's just reset all this with a. There we go. Oops, it didn't change it. Okay. Hold on just a second. Okay, it's been reset, so this is how it will look when you start over. The reset button is right there, by the way. Okay, so the instructions tell you to create these two color schemes, but there's a lot more detail in the handout that you have. So in addition to creating a couple of HTML pages separately from your root folder, you need to fill out this Word document, which is available on Moodle also, with the same due date. You're gonna play with the Color Scheme Designer and come up with one scheme. It's going to be in I want you to use two different scheme types. So monochromatic would be a good choice for Color Scheme 1, or maybe the analogic scheme, or complementary scheme, but probably not in the ones that you use 3, 4, or more colors. It just get too chaotic. And the second scheme is going to be a different one. Okay, but again, probably one that uses either monochromatic or analogic. And for each of these, you're going to build the scheme in the website, come up with all the different colors, and then try to decide how you're going to use those colors. So you're going to give me what is the scheme type? Give me the actual name that's used. It might be different than these. Then you're going to, wherever you see these parentheses, it tells you insert the RGB or the hex code. So you're going to delete out the other information. Delete out that other information. Overall background color, don't go too wild here. Remember, if you're going to be using dark text, you want to have a really light background, white or very light. And you could use white here, but probably not white. If you're going to use black or very dark text, you're going to need very white, or the other way around. White or very light text, you're going to use black or something that's very dark for the background. Accent color would be a secondary color. General text color might be white or black, or something that's close to it, maybe one of the colors you come up with. Color for headers, not all the headers, but perhaps a header type. Link colors, this is where you have to spend some time. See the best practices sheet. It is attached in the instructions to come up with some ideas. But you at least have to have a static link color, a visited link, and then you could use the same colors for focus, hover, active. Now, in each of these cases, you give a color, plain color, a color for the text. And you could use a background color also. Background colors are optional. I think it's a good idea, certainly on this focus, hover, active. And then you're going to go on to Color Scheme 2. It's going to be a different type than the Color Scheme 1. And of course, the colors will be different one way or another. And then I ask you to fill out this short answer question. Tell me why you picked these, what these colors say about you. There should be a period there. So you're going to delete this stuff out and actually type in a paragraph there for me. It doesn't have to be more than a couple of sentences, maybe a few sentences. A single short paragraph is fine. So you're going to be creating that Word document, and then from your work on one of the color picking websites, for instance this one, perhaps monochromatic, in the case of this website, adjacent they call it, instead of analogic, or maybe triadic. You can try that. And then I'm going to, if I choose monochromatic for instance, I'll go around and find the place I want to be, and I'm going to fine tune it with these, making it lighter, darker, more intense, less intense. I like it like nice light, kind of a little bit of black in the color like that. Maybe I could fine tune it more with these numbers here, hue, saturation, brightness, contrast. I could look at examples for white page, dark page, positive design, negative design, to try to see how I'm going to use those colors. I can go get the actual color numbers I want to use, look at them here, and then I have to decide how I'm really going to use those, put those in my worksheet. Okay, good. So you've created the worksheet. And then in thinking about that, hopefully you've thought through these link best design practices, which was in the handout also. Make the links stand out, make sure they're readable. Watch for super bright colors. Don't use underline. It's strange. Links used to always be underlined. Underline means links, but we usually take underline away from the links now. But at least we want to make sure you don't use underlined text anywhere else. Consider switching background, foreground, hover, focus, on hover and focus. So if the background is white, when you hover over something, maybe the background becomes the color the text was. And the color the text was becomes the background color. You can change capitalization or size. Consider making visited stand out less. Avoid target equals blank, opening a new window, and this is a good reason. Hover and focus and maybe even active could all be the same. Links must be styled in the right order. LVFHA. Some people remember love, hate, or Lord Voldemort fights Harry alone, or some other trick to remember that. LVFHA. Navigation links might be handled differently in your actual website. But don't worry about it here for this assignment. Okay, let's continue along. So having worked with one of these sites, having built that Word document, having made your decisions, now you're going to use that stuff. You're going to create a folder structure and go get your color 1. I want you to paste color 1. You want 2 copies of it into your root folder. And you want to change it to be, one of them is going to be called color 2, and then the other one's going to be called color 3. And you're going to open them up in Notepad++, and then you're going to apply those colors that you've chosen to this website. As you do it, you may say, maybe some of them work better than others. You want to use them in different ways. You may have to go back to that Word document and change things around. You may have to go back to the color picking website and change things around. But eventually, you're going to apply, one way or another, those color scheme to your version of color 1, which is color 2, and then another version, color 3. So those 2 color schemes will be applied to those bistro menu documents. Thinking all the time about your resume and how they might work there. Okay, as you do that, let's go over here. This is what color 1 looks like, remember? Oops, that's without anything. That's without any styling at all. Let's go back again. I mean something like this. The only difference is, and I encourage you to do this too, in the CSS here, I have changed this to a sans serif font stack. Where did I do that? Well, you should know at this point where I did it and how I did it. Under body, I've changed it to a sans serif Arial-based stack. You could do a Verdana-based stack if you wished. And you can look in your text if you want to use exactly her web stack, or font stack also. And I also had to change it in the H1. Unless you want to leave that as that web font, which is okay too. But I've just changed it to all be the same here. Good. So here's where already you should have styling in here, and you're going to be changing it. I'm not going to change it here. This is what it looks like at this time. I just wanted to show you the way things are set up automatically is this is the hover that you have, right? And you already have a visited and a static. I want to suggest to you think about a few more things, not just color with links, but there's other things you can do too. For instance, and I made myself some notes here in the comments section to remind myself, what if I make all the link text, so this is not an A link, this is just under A. If I make it bolder, oops, what's that going to do? Well, the thing I like about this is that, unlike the previous page, let's go to the top, I have more text weight now to carry the color, and the links stand out a little bit more. And the difference between the static state here and the visited state here also stand out more. So I'm actually I kind of like the idea of adding boldness. Now you could just add it to the hover or something else, but I think it perhaps works well as applying to all links. What else could you do? Well, you could use the underlining. You could use it for all links, but maybe you just want to use it for the visited and hover. I'm just going to add it to hover right now, but you'd probably, sorry, focus and hover, and maybe active too. I'm just going to add it to hover right now, and I might as well just cut this and paste it. In other words, the text doesn't have any, the links don't have any underline, except now they will only have it on the hover state. Okay, so there's no underline except when I hover over them, then I get the underline, which is, I think, a nice idea because it gives us that linking idea of the underlining being there. You could do lots of other things. Any text down you can imagine could be applied here as a link. For instance, what if I made them bigger? Now I could use this particular font size in pixels, for instance, or I could just say, let's make the hover one also larger. Just the next step larger this would be. So I don't see anything here until I hover over it, and then it gets bigger. That's bigger and underlined. Okay, so I'll let you continue to think about that. Remember, it's not just color. You can do lots of other things. You can use, of course, you can use lots of background colors and how they work, and any other text styling also for your links.